my my desire to be better has like I don't know why it's just like it's really just fucking exponentially increased because I I don't know you know the thing where they say they play with thought experiments and shit to just to like just you know it's just like I breathe, so why do I breathe? But basically the whole thought experiment thing, I forgot who does it, but I was sitting around playing with the whole thought process of um what's the point of being negative? Like, is there ever a reason to be negative? And it makes me sound like I'm trying to do some fifth grader philosophy here, but it's like I was just sitting there playing around with it, going, um, like, if you ever want to be negative, you're being negative because you're basically trying to find a positive, or in some kind of fashion way, you're being negative to be positive, and it then just turned into negativity is only there to reassure just how much important it is to be positive. And that's why the game is always how can you be better? And like I'm like, yeah, man, that's where I'm at now. I'm really trying to see if I can just focus in on that. And I don't know, it's
You're
just
right, bro. That's the part of overthinking that actually says something to you, and a lot of people don't get that because that's a good lesson for life in general. Because you can look around the world and see so many negative life stories and negative situations, like probably magnitudes more negative than things that we've experienced in our life, even the worst things put together. And you have to have that there to appreciate your life and how good it's been. And a lot of people miss out on that because they want the world to be a certain type of way for all
mhm.
people, and it's just not gonna it's that's not gonna happen. There's not gonna
And
be an equal outcome that benefits everyone equally
yeah,
and every, species equally.
because it's a spectrum, and you have to understand that, and it's it's so important to understand that, and it it's been one of those things I've been trying to just kind of just understand, figure out how to help someone else understand it, and also let them know I'm not trying to basically be on some whole one up thing. And because like I always see, it's like it's one of the things that's I guess it's a product from just being online and just being on Reddit, just the social media in general. Everybody wants to be right. Everybody wants to get that one up, and you know,
Yeah, I've
everyone
noticed that
likes that
too.
win. And I was talking about that earlier today, and like of course, like it feels good. I'm a victim of that shit too. I know a lot of times I'll take my bullshit and basically I'll try to rewrite that shit to where it sounds good to make it feel good when the ball's in my court. But it's like it's now that I understand that it's like I have a desire to not desire to want to be like right or win. I just want to try to get my point and whatever I'm feeling and just kind of give it and convey it and just keep it moving like that.
Yeah, I really wonder where that came from.
What? The desire to be right?
Yeah, like everybody's just at each other's throat and trying to win something over some stranger on the internet. Because that didn't used to
Because
be
we
a
ain't got
thing.
shit to do. Actually, I heard someone say something along the lines of it's like it's like victory. It's just the whole thought process of like we used to hunt and shit, and
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Hey, what's
yo,
up?
what's
Hey,
popping, fam?
I was just hopping on, but am I fucking up a podcast right now?
I mean, nah, what you should do is you should just hop on and just join because it's so
Okay.
natural if you do.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just about to hop on and say some goofy shit like, "Hey, y'all, it's the start of the show. Let's start this show off." Like, why y'all
Yeah.
like 10 minutes in or some shit?
Nah,
Hey, I,
bro.
wa- I,
Now,
I want to tell y'all why I think that's a good idea. Because I like what Darius said, but
Hmm.
don't let me forget it later. I just don't want it to be recorded, and I'll tell you why I don't want that being recorded later.
Okay, okay.
Mm.
You're saying okay. Well, okay. I got you.
But what I would just to bring you in, we were talking about how like social media and just people in general are like just enthralled over wanting to be right over all the time and wanting to win over somebody. Like they just gotta one up somebody, and we're trying to figure out where the origin of that shit even came from. And it's like I was just explaining how now I desire to not even desire to be right. I just want to get my point out and how I feel about some shit and try to be kind of keep to the facts. Because at the end of the day, sometimes just in thinking about it, I feel like there's just the facts, how you feel about the facts, and then the lies that get told because the way somebody feels about the facts, pretty much.
I get you. I mean, I think that's just a human thing. Not even like before you take it to social media. I think that's just people on social media. Just like I used to have that problem big time. Just as a kid, and even sometimes it pops up now where it's like I gotta be right. It's like it's sometimes it's like a battle of opinions, and it's like or like a fight between opinions, and I don't think many. Well, if you have the mindset of your it's your will against this other person's will, you know, if nobody's getting black eyes, it's really easy to just keep on fighting.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like who gets annoyed with it the quickest. I think it's
I
just
will
people.
I
Mhm.
will say there is like this. I admit to it. Like there is something about that fuel you get from shutting a motherfucker up. Like or my other favorite is when you realize that you've trolled them and they just like they can't do anything but just understand that it's been a troll this whole time. Like it's oh man, I wish I could go to that one post that V saw that one time where a guy called me a Nazi, and it's like the whole thing explained my whole point of how pointless this shit was.
Well, that's kind of funny though, because wait, can I say I could say mention the fact that you're black, right?
I don't give a shit. You can say whatever the
Okay,
fuck you
like
want.
it's funny because you're black. You fucking black Nazi. Like what? I mean, of course they don't know you're black, but that is some funny shit.
Hmm.
Like
And it
that
makes you
everybody can
realize,
be a
yeah,
Nazi.
it makes you realize the kind of people you're dealing with, and when you hear people talk about what's going on the internet and why people on the internet are pissed, like it, 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 it's probably easy to do that.
It is. I've did that a number of times myself, where it's just like I'm gonna go in here. It's just out of sheer boredom. Like out of sheer boredom, it's like these people who get upset so easily and start calling you a Nazi and all this other shit. It's like they make it so easy. It wasn't like I was sitting down like, man, I just feel like trolling motherfuckers today. It was just people get sensitive over some shit, and I'm like, hmm, how sensitive is this person over some bullshit on the internet? And that's when you get called.
I usually think weak.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Just
Yep.
well, see, I don't want to call it. Well, yeah. I mean, it is weak.
Weak or unbalanced, you
Mm.
know.
I think it's like I think the people who get upset about that shit are people who just don't have anything going for them in their lives right now. It's people who are bored, who like maybe I think it's just people who are like going to work. They do their work or whatever. They come home and there's not really maybe they don't feel like there's a lot for them to do, or maybe they're not like socially active. Maybe they're I think it's just a
Uh,
like these people are tied to
Losers.
damn.
Hey
I'm trying to
man.
take the high road, but
Bro,
I
on
mean,
some level, that's how I've been looking at it lately. These are some losers.
I
Like
mean,
they're not
yeah,
on the internet for the same reasons that I'm on the internet. I'm not just
hmm,
bored looking for some random shit to get pissed off about.
yeah,
I'm usually looking at some cool shit or something that's going to better myself or something that's important for me to know.
yeah.
Yeah.
I get you. I
You're there
get
for
you.
growth, which that's the reason you should be there. I mean, there's a lot of distractions. But that's like the main reason why you're there. At the end of the day, is growth. At least that's like I said. That's like at least why I would want to
Yeah.
be there.
I
And a
mean,
lot of
yeah,
people are on there because they don't have a life going for them.
exactly. I
And
think that
yeah,
is the case.
what you said was is to some level I think that's true because and Kay can tell this story better than I can, but she was on that town that we were in before. It's a little
Hmm.
tiny town, and they have a city Facebook page, and the city will post about some uh, it might be a group. I'm not entirely sure, but anyway, they're posting about some stuff that happens in the local area,
Hmm.
and the story was that some lady was outside on church grounds taking a shit, and this whole argument ensued over that. Like somebody was like, "Well, why couldn't they go find the nearest restroom?" Blah blah blah, and then somebody's like, "Well, they've been closing down some public restrooms and stuff, so this person probably, you know, was in a tough place or blah blah blah." Just different kinds of arguments. But somebody's also like, "Why did you even post about this? You're shaming this person for shitting on the church property," and it's like people are bored because they're all in this small town staying in the house and a lot of stuff is not happening, and so something like that where somebody got pissed because somebody just made a post about it.
Yeah,
I just wish there was a better
yeah.
way to get people to, just see that they shouldn't just get caught in their own thought process. I mean, because it's so easy to just get caught up in your own perspective and just say fuck all those other things. Like I don't know. It's for me. I'm really trying to just get accustomed to understanding that there's a spectrum, and I don't know. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I don't know how you teach that to people because people don't really give care about that. At the end of the time, at the end of the day, you don't have enough time to see everybody's perspective. So it's like, why give a fuck about it anyway? But nah.
I mean,
Mhm.
I get what y'all are saying on that. I just like I hate to look at the people who are doing that and go and well, first of all, I'll say like sometimes I'll straight up say, "Hey, them motherfuckers some losers. They trash dog." But like sitting down and not get emotional about it, to just look at it and look at just to look at it like as objectively as I can. It just looks that like it's just people who have some kind of issue in their life. Maybe not the same issue for most people. Maybe it's issues like maybe those people don't have a strong social like don't have a social group that they belong to. And by that I mean like maybe they don't go to church, maybe they don't have any extracurricular activities outside of work where they get to sit down and chill and talk with people. Maybe those people are lonely. It could be any number of things, but to me, it looks like it's a mental health issue. It just looks like there are people who are stressed or lonely or sad or whatever issue, and they're dealing with it in a negative way.
Yeah.
So I don't want to sit down and make up excuses for it because it's still wrong to be like, oh, you fucking disagree with me? Fuck you, fag. You're a Nazi. You're a homophobic Nazi, faggot. you
my
know, you
my
know
favorite.
it's some ridiculous shit going on out there. But I think it's a mental health issue. I think it's just people who do not have healthy outlets for their anger or depression or loneliness or just to talk to other people. So they become part of a group online. And one of the easiest groups to find online or one of the easiest identities to find online is that left versus right bullshit.
Yeah.
Which I gotta say, I think it's fun, kind of off. It's really suspicious that our politics are put in the terms of two opposite things from the jump, like left versus right. Why do they have to be opposite? Why can't it be this motherfucker is left and this motherfucker is diagonal or like this uh, I mean, of course that don't make any sense, but just the fact that from the
They have to be
jump
opposing sides.
it's
Mhm.
because if you look at it, if you look at the left and the right, and you really boil it down to what it is, it's just people trying to find a. It's just people arguing over which political system is the best. No, neither the left or the right or up or down or whatever is going. Hey guys, I think what we really need to do is we need to nuke ourselves and make the world as hellish as possible. Nobody's saying no like evil shit. Somebody's going. Hey, I think this is the way we should take the country so that it's better for everybody. I think this is the way we should take the country so that it's better for everybody. Nobody's going like, hey, I'm the left, and the left represents fuck all these people over here. It's none of that shit's going on. I don't think.
Well, are you since
You can
because
find
like
some
honestly,
fringe people.
I always need help understanding this because I hear certain things that the left represents, I hear things that the right side represents. But do you happen to have like a I don't know like a clear identity of which one is? Because it always bothers me because I find myself leaning on both the left and the right because it's just
That's good
uh,
though.
but
That's good that you're. Oh my bad. Let me not interrupt you.
well, no, I mean, I was trying to ask you if you fucking had anything that could even say what the left represents to make it have an identity and what the right represents to even give it an identity. Because I don't fucking know the difference sometimes between them.
I mean, I would say,
It's all
and
relative, honestly.
yeah, because honestly, that is such a complicated thing. But here's a well to say it as quickly as possible, or in as few words as possible. The left and the right, that's a complicated thing to unwrap because you're getting into politics, you're getting at liberal views and neoliberal views, and here's the way the old liberals did it. Here's like the
Mm.
conservative view and how it's changed over time. So the quickest way I can put it is
Racist. No, fucking.
I mean the simplest way I think I could put it, my understanding of it at least, is the left is liberals and Democrats, the right is conservatives and Republicans. And
I was afraid you would say that.
but the thing is, like if you're agreeing with both, I think that's a good thing because you're taking the best from each side. Nobody's going
Mhm.
like, "Hey, let me take the worst thing that the liberals have to offer and make that a part of my identity, and the worst thing that the people on the right, the Republicans or the conservatives have to offer, and let me make that my main political thing." If you're looking at both sides and you're going, "This guy has some good points and that guy over there has some good points." That lets me know that you're thinking about it and you're not just choosing a side. You're
Yeah.
not making it some kind of battle between, hey, this group versus this group, Bloods versus Crips. That's what this left and right shit is. It's the new Bloods versus Crips, dog. Because
It's
it's
the
like
legal Bloods
you
versus
can't.
Crip.
It's like, hey, you motherfucker, you agree with a conservative? Hell no, nigga. It's left in this
Yeah,
bitch. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
I've been
shit like
saying that
that.
for a while. If you see any of the sponsored ad, any kind of ads or something like that, where
Hmm.
they're saying "vote for me," blah blah blah, or they'll just say "vote blue" or "vote red." Like they don't even bother
Yeah,
to say the name of the organizations anymore.
yeah. But it ain't that like that's crazy to me. That's our politics right now.
That's gang mentality.
Yeah, like
Hmm.
it's some gangster shit. Like what? Oh
Yeah, I
man.
tell Kay all the time that if somebody gets like le- uh if somebody gets like targeted in some way in either group
Mhm.
and like targets to kill someone, like a deliberate target to kill someone that's left or right, that's when we should definitely be thinking about leaving the country because it seems like a lot of that stuff is boiling up and people don't seem to be easing up
Excuse
on that pedal. They're just doubling down on it each step of the way.
Well,
me.
the craziest
Well,
part about
mhm.
that is, I mean, you hear conversations from people that are kind of on the radical thought process, and they'll say shit like, "Yeah, one less Democrat. That way we can ensure the vote. Like if a motherfucker dies and they voted Democrat." I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not calling any names, but I've heard people say shit like that. So it's just like,
yeah, I've heard
ugh,
a lot of people say that. That's why I feel the way I feel. Like it's been pretty close
Mhm.
where it's like certain actions were being legitimized as right after the fact and legitimized as if it's a strike against the other side, and it's kind of weird to see that when you're talking about a country of people who are supposed to be in it together.
Yeah. I mean, also like I stopped like following the like politics as a whole. I stopped paying attention to it because it got to a point where it's like the news organizations that I thought were like reasonable, or at
Mm.
least like I could go to this media publication or whatever media outlet, and they're going to tell me the news, and maybe there's a little bias there, but I can sort out the bias. I can see where the bias is, like in the wording or just how the story is told. But
Yeah, I
now it's ridiculous. It's some of the shit that they come up with, and some of it is straight up lies. Like what the fuck?
yeah,
Like this news organization just told me a lie. Like they just pulled that shit out of their ass. That wouldn't even what happened. Like they completely distorted reality. And
and they add drama into it, and drama
exactly.
is not news.
Yeah, it's like and I understand partly why that's happening, and it's because those media outlets are dying with the invention of or the I don't know the correct word to use here with the
With
not
the
more
internet.
acceptance. I mean the internet, but not with just more acceptance of the internet, but the internet is like everybody's on the internet now. Even I know some fucking 60-year-old people who use their phones more than I do.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
it's when the internet first started popping off and things like YouTube came out, they were big, of course. People were on them, but like for the most part, I would say if you had to see who the vast majority of people watching those YouTube videos were, it was probably young people, and it was probably stupid shit like cat videos and just internet early internet memes before uh, they were as fucking abundant as they are now. You get an internet meme back in the I hate saying back in the day because I know I'm young, but
Nah, bro, you old as shit.
you could get internet
Bro, you can
memes.
say that technology moves fast, man.
I mean,
That was
it
ages
does,
ago.
it does, it
Exponentially.
does. It moves. Time passes a lot fucking faster than or things age a lot quicker than they used to. Than like I would say they did in the '90s, or early 2000s. Shit is like outpaced technologically so fucking fast. But
Yeah.
point being, after not paying attention to oh, I didn't even fucking finish saying why I mentioned the internet thing. I think it's just those media outlets, they're dying. They're losing lots of money. People aren't paying as much attention to them. And honestly, the news used to be boring as fuck. Now it's like a fucking it's another sitcom that's coming on
And that's
with
whack.
some yeah, which is whack. It's not a good thing.
We
But I
came
can
here for
see that they're
facts.
they're a lot of the time they're doing it to survive. I don't think it's a good way to survive, but I get some of it. For the larger organizations, I get why they're doing the most ridiculous shit because they have the most employees. They have the most expensive, so they have to do the most ridiculous shit to
Yeah.
get you to come on and watch their shit so that they can get paid. But
I would
point
much
being,
rather them die with pride, man.
but I mean, point
Yeah, I
being,
don't think they have to do that. I mean, I
I mean, they
understand
don't
what you're
have to.
saying.
There's other ways.
Yeah, I feel like there's because I mean the subscription thing that they're trying to do now with the online news. Because at first it was just ads, and it might be ads and subscriptions now, but they didn't have to go the way that they went in order to survive. They could
Yeah,
have had a good subscription system, just like people used to pay back in the day. I don't know how much they used to pay back then. It was fucking ages ago, right?
yeah. I mean, but even then, like a subscription service nowadays, when I see a subscription service, even for like news outlets that I like, that I think are still being pretty reasonable, it's like, man, I don't. I mean, me personally, I don't. I'm a cheap guy. I'm not gonna spend the money to do that shit. But it makes me wonder how many people are paying the subscriptions for news, you know?
And see, I
Older
When
would.
you could
people.
get it anywhere else. You could get the
Yeah,
news from
older
anywhere.
people definitely do it because K's mom does it. But
Yeah, definitely the older generations
the thing
are
is
like
that
that.
I would subscribe if the prices were lower. They don't have to be that high. They're that high to make up for people not subscribing. And all they have to do
Yeah.
is lower the price and make it way more reasonable than it is. Because I'm
Well,
not gonna pay what it, I've seen some like outrageous prices, like I think $30 or something like that, and I'm just not gonna do it.
I mean, yeah, I get you. I mean, it's even if it weren't that expensive. I've seen ones where it's like $10 a month, but when I look at ten
Yeah.
dollars a month or any amount a month, I'm looking at the bigger picture, so I'm automatically going, this isn't actually $10 a month. This is $120 a year.
$120 a year. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're looking at the bigger picture, and I think,
Hmm.
I mean, I would like to believe that they could lower the prices, but realistically speaking, just because you lower the prices don't mean that more people are going to buy your service.
And on
There's some
top of
things
that,
where you lower the prices and less people buy your service because they see it as cheap at that point.
yeah, I mean, I don't see it that way, but for me, I feel like on top of their price, I have to do work to filter through all the bullshit that they stack on top of it.
Yeah,
And I'm not gonna do that.
I get you. Shit, I
I
mean,
really need to find that. Like, it's like one of our solution would be to find a source that just stick to the facts. I mean, what do you want from the news? I mean, honestly, the I think you would just want an unbiased opinion
I mean,
and
really. Oh, my bad. What are you
yeah,
saying?
just facts. I know some people used to say the Wall Street Journal was a good place, but I've been hearing negatives even about that.
You'll find that
I
anywhere,
mean,
but it, I think the issue for me personally is that there's too much bias. There's unimportant details and so much shit you have to read through. And part of that is like search engine algorithms, probably trying to keep up with Google because they had like a
oh
word
yeah.
count thing because they want you to spend more time on the internet. And it's like I I value my time, and I don't want to deal with that kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
And
I get you.
not only that, there's also the bullshit of them just finding some shit to write about because like three people pissed on Twitter is a fucking story. And now I don't know what happened today that I need to actually pay attention to because there's
But
all
they
this
just
other
wanted your
bullshit that I
attention.
don't exactly. They wanted to waste my time, and I don't appreciate that.
Hmm.
Speaking of which, I don't want you to think that Bonte, I don't want you to think that
Hmm.
earlier when I was talking about how these people are losers, like I understand that it's probably it's probably way more complicated than that.
Yeah.
Usually when I have that mindset, it's because I've been on this thing where I don't want my time wasted. And so when I have an interaction like that where somebody's just pissed off and like we're about to start this argument, it's like this person is trying to suck me in and waste my time
Mm.
because they're a loser.
I
And
get you.
I want to win today. I want to
Yeah,
put my focus on the shit that's gonna matter. That's gonna put me in a better position in life. So
as you
that's
should. Yeah.
just how I look at them, just so I don't get sucked into that bullshit.
I mean, I get you. I get what you're saying, and sometimes I have that same mentality. But I'm just saying. I was just saying to the the grander scope of it. Looking at the grander scope of it, that I think that this is representative of a mental health issue in America. Uh, I think I don't want to call it a crisis because you know I know like who really knows how people are doing mentally in America. But like looking at some of our politics and shit, it's kind of like okay, this isn't how people. I mean, even some people in person are like what set you rep? You're a Republican or you're a liberal? It like I've had everything is there's so many things now that are a political litmus test, you know? Like a
Yeah,
test to see are you on this side or are you on that side? Like even a
Yeah.
fucking think about the face mask thing. I'm like, how the fuck is this? This thing isn't that's politicized now. If you wear
Yeah.
like it's like if you wear a mask, you're a liberal or you're a Democrat or you're somebody not even necessarily one of those things, but you are somebody who heard the narrative that the media was given and you're like, yeah, I'm going to go with what they said. And it's like if you don't wear a mask, you're thinking for yourself and you're looking at your own statistic. It's all this weird shit. It's like
Yeah. And the
it's
news
like
and the
what the
news
fuck?
participates in that stuff too. Like all
Yeah,
day
they do.
they talk about Trump and COVID-19. I understand it's a big thing to a lot of people, but like they've just been going on and on and on whether or not this man wears a mask, whether or not, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
who says what and who's a doctor and who are they in what pocket. I just don't want to hear all that shit all the time.
Yeah, it's like give me the fuck, just give me the goddamn facts. Like,
Yeah. There you go. There you
but
go.
it's
Right there.
also this is something that really I took issue with. Like around the shit, the time that this a lot of the politics started getting like just started gradually or quickly getting zanier and crazier and crazier. I want to say around 2015, 2016, 2017, that time period just man, I started wondering like, what the fuck is true? Like, because at the end of the day, you kind of rely on the news media, or maybe not everybody, but I think the vast majority of people, rely on the media to tell them what's true, what's really fucking going on. Because
Exactly.
how many people have the time to go research the Epstein
Yeah.
story?
I
How
was
many
going to ask
time?
you about that.
How much time do people have to go uh, research whether or not Elon Musk really gave those fucking respirators to the hospital. People
Right.
aren't doing that shit. We're all looking at the news and the media, and we're
See, that's
going,
the thing.
"That's what we're doing."
Some people are doing that, and that's why I do try to keep on top of that because it is harder. It's becoming harder and harder to um, find legitimate sources of news and stuff. And that's one of the things that the news and a lot of people in politics don't talk about is that there's going to be an issue in the near future where you're not going to know what's real and what's fake, like
Yeah,
legitimately. And especially when it comes
even right
to,
now, shit.
I mean, that's true too, but like when it
On a
comes
massive
to,
scale, you're saying, or a
no,
larger
I'm
scale.
I'm talking about when deep fakes become like a real fucking problem
Issue.
Mm-hmm.
because they already, I mean, it's they already have the capabilities to pretty much make a fake video of or fake voice of people. You
Yeah,
know, like how long is it before it's Trump doing something stupid that's actually fake or Obama doing something that's actually fake and it was just made by a fucking computer?
yeah. See,
Well,
my
the I was gonna like this right now while this is all going on while we're talking about this, I'm fucking watching the news and just going over it. Like it's just basically right now they're talking about the death toll and just the numbers, and it's like at the same time it's facts, but it's like what do you want from the news? What do you want to hear for that? I feel like
I mean,
we don't necessarily need to know the numbers, but at the same time we need to know the numbers. I just
They're doing that shit to manipulate people because fear and drama it gets people to watch. When you're scared, you
yeah,
go to the news to see what's going on, who has solutions and stuff like that. And the thing about the numbers now, 100,000 is that you're talking about 100,000 when we were looking at over 2 million people that were going to die, but they can top out 100,000 and it's a big number in its own right, but it's very small in comparison. But they want people scared and they want people to be pissed at Trump because how could you let 100,000 people die?
mm.
I know, right? Yeah, it's
I
just
guess on the flip side of that, what would you show instead of this? Like, I guess that's my other thing. Is like, what the hell would they show instead of this?
They would show nothing if nothing's happening or just show some real fucking news because real shit happens all the time. They
yeah,
just don't talk about it because it's not quote unquote popular.
yeah.
But there are a
That
lot
is
of
true.
people who have that Trump derangement shit, just like
Hmm.
people were deranged about Obama and they talked about his ass all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Shit. That makes me think though. That's a good question. What do you want from your news? Because honestly, like What I really want is to just read the headline: "Liberal RKO'd off of Trump Tower." That would be the craziest shit. Nah. Nah,
with
nah.
a
All
Yeah.
jokes
with
aside,
a
all jokes
with a
aside.
with a direct clip that shows you the whole thing with no bullshit, no talking back and forth, none of that bullshit. I just want to
See,
see the
y'all
shit that's
fucking
going
up.
on.
Y'all was fucking up. That's the drama that we already got. We don't want more of that
But
shit.
that's
Oh
news.
shit.
Somebody got RKO'd off the tower, bro. That's real
Yeah,
news
bro.
if it happened.
You know, the first thing you're gonna see on YouTube is liberal gets wrecked by fucking what's that dude's name? Shapiro Rex Liberal off of
Yeah.
Trump Tower.
No, no, destroys, destroys.
You remember seeing? I think that's kind of died down for the most part, but that used to be the fucking most ridiculous shit. It's like
Shapiro destroys.
John Shapiro.
Yeah,
What
bro.
is it? John Shapiro or
Nah, Ben
something?
Shapiro.
Ben
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 Shapiro.
Shapiro.
Shapiro. Yeah.
Ben Shapiro fucking super destroys liberal. It's like
Yeah,
the most
bro.
ridiculous fucking titles, but those were the ones people were clicking on because of
Right.
those ridiculous ass
And people were
titles.
making compilations of them hoes too with their
Yeah.
free time.
Ben Shapiro always annoyed me though. It was one of those
Oh,
like he felt
bro.
like a hall monitor, and he just always kind of made me cringe because his if you ever take the time to listen to his show, he'll sit there and he'll just gripe on any and everything. And what made me so annoyed one time is he took the time out to talk about the Avengers Endgame, and it's just like for me, I'm a fucking comic book fanatic. You guys know that shit. And when I hear people take the time out to just sit there and go, it was all right. Like that's what he was doing. He was basically saying, in game was all right. It was just, it was gonna be this way to make money. And I don't know, it's just hall
I mean,
monitor ass shit.
he's not lying though. That movie was
What?
trash. I can't like compared to the
Get
rest of the
get,
rest of the
get out
Marvels.
of
That
here.
it was yo, it was just they needed to end the series, so they kind of did whatever. But it wasn't
Wait,
as good as like the first Iron Man or like what I'm saying.
I get
Like
no,
it
you.
was
Not
good,
as
but it
impactful.
was yeah
He should have
I
yeah I
said
don't
saw
that.
it.
know.
He should have said that about Mandalorian.
I haven't
Yeah,
seen that,
That's how I
Yeah, I
but
I
haven't
don't
feel
seen
about
know.
it.
that before either.
Oh, my,
I want to see more squirrels on boats and skiing. That's what I want for my news. I want animal bloopers.
Animal bloopers.
That's all I want to
Oh
see.
that's
shit.
called America's Funniest Videos. They have a show for that. That's not
That's
Hey,
news.
I
that's the
realize though.
news.
But those people are still recording with those old camcorders or some shit.
Oh shit. Hey, I don't know if y'all still keep up with the news, but like I since I stopped paying attention to it, like the whole left versus right thing, that don't seem to be as prevalent now. And I think it's just because I'm not watching the news and I'm not watching how stupid that small amount of people are being. Like when I'm out in public and whatnot, of course I live in a place where
You
maybe it's
live in a
just where I live.
society.
Yeah, I live in this. Maybe I'm. Well, I mean, of
So
course, I live in a
society.
society, but like maybe I just live in an environment where people aren't really. It's so much other shit to do that people aren't talking about it. But to me, it seems like all that bullshit and that drama is only on Twitter and the YouTube comment section and the
Yep.
fucking news. It don't seem like
Hmm.
it's actually real.
You
It just
talking about
seems
Black
like it's a
Twitter?
few people
Definitely.
the few people that fucking go on the internet and they type shit are like it just seems like it's a small fucking amount of people and it's getting blown the fuck out of proportion.
I
This
thought they
is
were
what I
called keyboard
notice.
warriors.
This is what I notice. When I watch the news, I end up pissed off. When I get on social media, I end up pissed off.
Yeah.
So when I take good breaks from them, I feel really good. I feel like I can be a good, happy, positive person
Mhm.
in this world,
Bruh.
even with COVID going on.
Yeah.
I'll just say the 2 years I spent away from social media were probably the best. Like it was a good reset. I don't know. It's something really beautiful about not being attached to people like you were back in the old times. It's something beautiful about that. It's the same
Yeah.
thing when it comes to just like when you take a picture of something and you put your phone down because you realize the picture doesn't capture the moment. Like it annoys me sometimes
Oh
when
yeah.
people are doing that. It's I don't know, man.
You
I
got to go
really
out and see the
suggest that
world with
shit.
your own eyes, bro. Like
Yeah.
coming out here, just seeing the trees and shit, like that they Kay would say that all the time. Like she missed how good the trees were out here, and it's something that you really have to experience. They can't put that on a on a digital image. I don't
Yeah.
think they can put it on any image. It just looks so. It's like nothing I'm used to, honestly.
Just the
Like the
feeling of
tree,
being in nature.
not necessarily being in nature.
Hmm.
It's like okay, I think that the people here are good, kind, nice people, and they're very friendly. And I don't know if it's one of those situations where the environment affects the people or the people affect the environment, but I'm willing to bet that the nature is good here and that's why the people are good. And it's just like there's a little bit of extra life or something to it. It's like coming out here and experiencing nature this way, it makes me understand why people go golfing. And I didn't understand that
Mm,
before because that shit seemed boring as fuck. But when
yeah.
you're out there golfing and the trees look the way that they do here, like I want to go do that shit.
Hmm.
I gotta go make this money now.
Oh shit. See,
Nah, bro, just go to Top Golf like the rest of us.
But yeah, you gotta go out. You gotta experience that shit for yourself. I lived a life before where I was pretty much tired of experiencing through a screen. I just needed to do it a lot of times to make my way because I didn't know another way. But
I get you.
working my way there now.
Hey, shit, that's a good and positive change, though.
Yeah. And I wanted those good experiences that were in my actual memories and not just this picture on the phone, you
I
know,
get you. Yeah.
so I can stand on niggas on Facebook,
Fact.
you know.
I get you.
Nah.
Yeah, I kind of hate the whole taking pictures thing. I did that on my last on my trip to Colorado. I took lots of pictures, but like I really wish I could just have some shit that took pictures by itself. Cause
Yeah.
like I
Hmm.
just I hate taking pictures, dude. It kind
It's
of
called a drone.
it takes me out of the experience. I mean, I won't say I hate it. I don't hate taking pictures. The act of taking the pictures itself is also fulfilling in a different way. But
Hmm.
if I could only do one, I would rather look out
Yeah.
at shit because the shit
Yup.
that I remember from that trip the most is shit that I didn't take pictures or it's shit that I took a picture of, but then I
Hmm.
quickly put my camera away and like
Yeah.
I just took the scene and you know,
And you're probably a happier person because of it.
yeah, yeah,
I want to be a happy person with rich experience versus some miserable person who's just
Who recorded it all?
yeah, who's just showing off on Facebook. Look
yeah,
at
I
how
get
not miserable I am. I'm living this great ass life.
you, yeah.
I want to be able to sit in my chair as an old man and tell my kids stories rather than just showing them photos and like, yep, I remember when I did this. I don't know. I want to be that old man that sits in the chair by the fire. Come here. Let me tell you about
Back
how
in
I
my
used to.
day,
Yeah, there you go. Back in my day.
Justin Timberlake just popping titties out, you know?
Oh yeah, titties. You ain't seen titties like I seen it.
You
Fuck
didn't
that
even
Super
know it.
Bowl y'all on.
Shit, I don't know, man. In the days where you have kids, your kids probably gonna be like, "Grandpa, you're weird. Titties? That's like looking at kneecaps, nigga. We looking at super porn now.
Nah,
Super
man.
porn.
Got super
With that
porn.
shit Elon Musk with that shit Elon Musk making, they gonna be able to like live in the porns.
Nah, bro. I really do think that we gonna get to a point in our lifetimes where we will be able to run a program called bustednut.exe. And you just gonna be able to you gonna, ain't even gotta jack off. Just run bustednut.exe. Oh man, that was great. I think I've had my fill for today.
So you don't need that in your life. They
I
talk
do.
about they talk about I don't know if this is a real study or not, but they were talking about a rat that was hooked up to a
Oh
thing
yeah,
that could just hit that whatever center in
the
his
pleasure
brain.
button.
Yeah, the pleasure button, and it just does that till it dies.
That got to be horrible.
Oh my
But hey,
god,
that's what we're fucking approaching, dog. Like that's I think that's the direction. Look at like Instagram, look at Facebook, look at social media, look at all
Reddit.
these different things. Look at Reddit, and they're
Look at my
in
Reddit.
these places that are not supposed to be about porn. It sure is a whole bunch of scantily clad fucking models on these motherfuckers. Like,
bro, you ain't
what the
even
fuck is what's
you ain't
going
even in
on?
the shit yet.
Come
Hell
on,
yeah.
like if that's the case right now, what happens when some hacker goes against whatever AI convention and he's like, "Hey y'all, hey, I got check me out on the fucking black market. I got that bustinut.exe, y'all. You can
Oh
you
my
can run
god,
that bitch 5 times and you gotta pay me. Like that's gonna be the new drug, bustinut.exe, dog.
God damn it!
Oh shit.
Yeah.
You good, bro? You hit the blunt too hard?
Nah, bro, he hit that dot exe.
But like,
God
can y'all
damn
can
it.
y'all I don't know if I'm derailing. I hope I'm not derailing the podcast if y'all had something specific y'all wanted to talk
Nah,
about
bro.
regarding
You
politics.
actually, honestly,
Bro,
like
you're
real
supposed to
talk.
just talk, real
Okay.
talk.
No,
Okay. I
no,
don't because
that's
I don't know everything that I'm assuming Darius is doing well, Izuzu Radio is the name of the whole channel. But I
okay.
assume Darius was
Hold
doing
on.
his what?
No, Oak Cliff Beach is a separate thing.
Okay, Oak
Yeah,
Cliff Beach. I thought he was doing Oak Cliff Beach. That's what I'm talking about. I
And if
like
we
how I
start,
tapped the mic, like I'm like tapping you on the shoulder, like that's what I'm talking about.
hold on. Let,
no,
let me let me add some clarity
I ain't
because I
seen
keep
you in a
hearing.
while, bro. It's been a minute.
Actually, I was thinking about like the way things are going. I'll probably just roll over you guys' house one day so we can record a live session and hang out together.
All right, badass. I'm
Be-
down.
is Beast
Um,
coming?
on a plane,
hell
but
no.
But now, like, can y'all imagine that? Like, how are they gonna stop people from doing that? Because, like you said, I could see people like having, they go to the Neuralink store or whatever, they get their surgery done, they got the Neuralink in their brain, and they're like, oh man, like now I can do so many different things with my mind, like without there being a screen present. Like a motherfucker could be like just walking down the street and looking at porn like mentally and running. I'm saying that they're gonna have a program called bustinut.exe. I really do. I truly do think if the regulations are not there, even if the regulations are there for us to
it'll
not
still
have those kind of
exist.
things, somebody's gonna make it. Somebody's gonna figure out how to make bustinut.exe. And instead of people having alcohol, or instead of somebody having an alcohol issue, they'll be able to delete that alcohol issue from their brain, but then they gonna get addicted to bustinut.exe and fucking not drink water for 6 days and die of dehydration.
Well,
Like,
Yep.
it's funny because that'll be the new form of was it not Darwinism? What the thing? What the word I'm looking for? What is the word? Not
heroin?
Darwinism.
Oh,
What is it called? What
natural
is it called?
selection?
There you go. Natural selection. It's the new natural selection.
That's not. It's not natural selection. In that case, it's mechanical selection, which is something I found at some point, and I'm fascinated by it
Oh,
because they don't
how
teach that shit in school.
mechanical
Mechanical
selection?
selection?
Yeah, there's
I need to
natural
look that shit
selection,
up right now.
bro.
Because I
You
know
gotta go.
natural selection is different, but because natural selection is kind of the if you look up the actual what actual natural selection is, it's some really sciencey shit, and it's not whatever it is. The way it typically gets used, it's not what it typically gets used as. Do you
I
do you
thought it
know?
was. I thought it was a philosophy. Is that not what it is?
Wait, natural selection?
Yeah, a philosophy of how things became, basically.
When you say
No,
philosophy, you're
it's a
talking about like
process.
a mechanism, right? A mechanism in nature that
No, just a
occurs.
way of studying how this thing came to be.
I
Some
can read the definition to you if you want.
all right. What's the definition?
The process whereby organisms better adapted to their environment tend to survive and produce more offspring.
See, it's a bit more complicated than that. Like the actual, like it says the process whereby, right?
Yeah.
But like the process itself is like when I saw the process itself, or when I found out, in science class or whatever, in environmental science class, what the process was itself, I was like, damn, this is not really the way it's typically used in conversation. I wish I could like go into more detail than that. I'll just have to look that shit up after I'm
Well, I
just
mean,
for my
shit, I can just
own
sit here
self.
and be on Google and keep saying shit, but nah, I get you. We should definitely look that shit up.
Wait, what's mechanical selection though? I want to know what that is. I've never heard of that.
You got to watch. Uh, I think it's The Universe or something with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Hmm.
I think I saw that shit on Netflix, but that's where he talked about it.
Okay.
But basically,
Mechanical.
it's like um, how dogs transformed, how dogs transformed from wolves to the dogs we know today. It wasn't
Oh, you're
based on natural
right.
selection. We actually
Hmm.
had a hand in the process
I
to
get you.
crossbreed and do different shit like that.
We were
Yeah,
being
because
dicks
chihuahuas would never exist in actual
Exactly.
nature.
and
Yeah.
poodles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but somebody
poodles.
somewhere wanted that shit in the purse, and here we are.
Somebody's wife nagged them for 500 years, and then we got
Yeah,
chihuahuas.
how crazy is that?
That is crazy because when I remember being little and asking the question about dogs, like how come you never see any wild dogs? Like you see like on the Discovery Channel, you see
Exactly,
wild wolves and all that, but the
exactly.
reason you don't see any wild dogs is because they're not wild. They're domesticated, and
Yeah,
we made them.
yeah.
We made them,
They don't exist in nature.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't exist in nature. In the same way, I would argue that you see African Americans dominate sports in America, and not just in America, worldwide. In certain sports, like that
Mhm.
we excel athletically in terms of athletics because of course, Africans were nobody to sleep on, when the slave ships came and whatnot. But when you fucking essentially genetically engineer people to be stronger and stronger, for a couple of hundred years, you have that effect. Uh,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
if that were not the case, then I think you would see a lot of Africans from Africa, the continent, excelling in football and basketball and soccer, and just general athletics feats, like you do with African Americans. But there's a difference, and that difference is fucking 300 years of slavery. Well, more than that actually, but
Well, I was gonna like, what makes them like? I don't know if you know it right at the back of your hand, but what makes them succeed like that?
you mean what makes African Americans more athletic?
Yeah.
I think it's really well, if you look at slavery and or if you look at certain parts of slavery, because I'm no expert. I fucking hate having to say that. I'm no fucking
Well,
historian, but from looking at slavery and looking at some of the basic facts, like when you look at how many people died on on the ships themselves and the
mhm.
conditions on the ships, uh, weak people, genetically inferior people would have
Mm,
died off, you know,
I get
fairly
you.
quick because it's that you're spending months, multiple months at sea. And what kind of you if you're getting any food, which I would imagine you have to get some food to survive at sea that long. What the fuck are you eating? It probably ain't top ramen, dog. It probably ain't no good. I mean, top
Yeah,
ramen ain't good quality food, but it ain't no good quality food. So you're getting the
yeah,
harshest conditions physically and mentally, and
Not
weak people are gonna die off. The weak die off, and not only do the weak die off, on top of that, you come to another land where you're fucked. They
see.
beat the fuck
Yeah.
out of you, and only the hardest workers, the strongest, uh, get to go and or I should say the cream of the crop rises to the top. Those,
Yep.
even though
Hmm.
in this case the top is still you're still a slave and you still get whipped as much as any fucking body. But
See, I gotta pause you right now. I want to say, like, man, right now I hate you. It's kind of like when you're online, a motherfucker says the comment you want to type, and you just scrolling down, like, God damn it, I hope nobody said my comment. I was trying to piggyback.
that's funny as shit that you say that, because I'm the opposite. I'll scroll to the comment section looking for the shit that I wanted to type,
Right?
like
Just so
looking
I
to
don't
be
have to
like,
type it.
yeah, just so I could be like, okay, hey, you with me? Somebody with me? Somebody know what I'm talking about?
Nah, sometimes I want that glory, man.
I don't. There's no glory in the YouTube comment section. I
Yeah.
promise you. That shit
You
is.
right,
It's
you
You
interesting
right.
gonna
that you were
look for that
talking
shit.
about that.
You're gonna get a 404 error.
The
It's
motherfuckers
interesting
just not
you were
doing nothing but commenting.
What?
it's interesting you were talking about that though, because I wanted to dive deeper on that on a blog post one day. Talk about the mechanical selection and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Because there's a lot of psychology, I think, that goes along with it, and people aren't aware of it today.
Psychology in regards to.
Well, you were talking about how the weakest people died off,
Hmm.
and when it comes to mechanical selection, it's not just about who's the strongest, it's who's the most desirable. And
Yeah.
one of those things is subservience, even um, I don't know what how to call that, like a lack of drive to obtain knowledge.
Mm.
Because back in the day, if you wanted to learn how to read, you died basically. And so the people who probably were most suited to survive are people who did not care to know. You know,
Well, I would disagree because I think what the issue is the people who were found out to have a desire to read, the people who were not stealthy enough to,
Mm.
or who did not have the mindset of, if they find out about this shit, I'm gonna die. The people who were clunky about it, the people who let it be known, I would think would be the ones who died, and or the ones who got caught would be the ones who died, and those who didn't want to, uh, I'm sure some of them died, some of them survived, vis-a-vis kind of situation, but either or.
yeah, not saying it was an all or nothing because people like you exist, I exist.
Mhm.
There are lots of people who do still have that desire, but I'm sure there was some kind of effect from that because I think those people were most likely to survive in a situation like that.
But also, like, I wonder how many slaves. This was this is a fucked up moment in my fucking school career when I sat in a fucking class and the teacher told me how much I would be worth as a slave. I mean, and
Oh
it's
shit.
it was fucked up, but not like the teacher did
Mhm.
anything wrong. The teacher, he was a nice dude. He was a cool dude, white guy of course. But
I
yeah,
want to
he
ask.
told me that. But I know you
No,
were
I like
wondering.
it.
But I mean, he wouldn't saying it to be mean or no shit. He was telling me something factual, and of course
Yeah.
I wanted to know. I was curious, but it was strange to be told like, because you're a healthy black dude, you would have went off for 100,000 or whatever. It was rich people buying the slaves. uh, Not every white dude in America, back in the day had a slave. It was some, almost exclusively for the wealthy. And one thing that's funny or interesting that I hope I'm not going off topic.
Bro, keep going.
Well, one
Yeah,
thing that I
man.
thought was interesting was, man, like there were a lot of what's that called? When you're basically a slave, but you agreed to it. Not serf.
Yeah.
Is it
And
serfdom?
indentured servitude.
Indentured servitude, yeah. There's a lot of white indentured servants who got along with the slaves, and they saw the slaves as just like them. And there's a lot of people. There were a lot of people in America who saw it that way. But
Hmm.
then I want to say it was an upper class. I can't say who it was, but then the idea spread. Somebody gave put forth the idea that no, you white guys, you guys are better than them. So they gave them extra rights as opposed to the slaves, and
Oh.
then it became a thing of, oh, we're not the same. I'm better than you. You're a slave.
Mm.
You're not as good as me.
Hmm.
Although there's always been some like some weird shit going on with uh, the views of whites in European the in Europe in the 1600s or that time frame. They're still like, you're black, you might use magic or some shit, but
Hmm.
but you're a slave just like me. So but that's it's crazy when you look back at that kind of stuff, and you look at that shit and you're like, there's so much going on in terms of our mindsets and the way that we think as a society and as individuals, where it's been planted there.
Yeah.
It's or what is natural, what the natural thought process may be, it has been replaced by something else. And that's within all of us, I think. Kind of like that horse that I'm sure y'all seen that picture of that horse that's tied up to a tricycle, and the horse thinks it can't move because it's tied up.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
I mean, if it only knew that it could steamroll that fucking tricycle.
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah. It's just a like. I mean, it's not one picture. I'm sure it's a thing about horses, and I'm assuming that that's correct and that's valid. That you can tie a horse up to something small, but if it's the horse may not necessarily be aware of the fact that it can still move and get away.
Wow.
I don't know. I want to look that up because I always think about that when I'm thinking about my own mindset. I'm like, how am I holding myself back?
See,
Yeah.
bro, I told you the word you're looking for is intelligence, and those motherfuckers. I mean, there are parallels you can draw to it.
Yeah.
Just
What
like
is
the
that?
monkey experiment.
Yeah.
Wait, what's the monkey experiment?
It's the one, and this is why I think the way I do. Well, I was tracing. This is why I trace uh, stuff back like that. But the monkey experiment is that you take 12 monkeys and you put them in a box, and they have a ladder that goes up to a banana that's hanging, and whenever one of the monkeys goes up the ladder to get the banana, you shock the cage so
Mm,
that over time the monkeys know that if you try to go for the banana, you get shocked. And so over time they swap out one monkey at a time with a new monkey that doesn't know. And
mm-hmm,
whenever the new monkey would try to go for the banana, all the other monkeys would that attack that particular monkey that doesn't know, because they don't want to get shocked. And so
yeah.
over time it learns, I'm not supposed to go for the banana. And then
Mm-hmm,
they just swap out each of the monkeys individually, and over time the monkeys all know not to go for the banana, but they don't know why.
See,
mm,
this all sounds like refined versions of Pavlov's, the Pavlov dog experiment.
yeah. I mean, it is. I would say that's the.
Hmm.
It's a twist on that same experiment.
And the reason why it's relevant is because the what I learned from my own life was, in church they would teach you to do a certain thing. uh, you'd make a certain gesture and you'd bow your head when you wanted to go to the restroom or get some water or something like that.
Mm-hmm,
And it was taught as you showing respect to the church. And when you find out in history, it was actually something you did basically to ask for permission from your massa back in the day.
yeah.
When you want to go do number one, number two, or you want to get some water or something like that. Like, you had to show that you were subservient, and to show them, you're going for number one or something like that.
See.
And then they would give you, visual permission with a head nod or some bullshit like that. But these people in the church all these years later, they don't know why they do it, but they know it's a
Mm.
sign of respect to the church.
With shit like that, that kind of scares me, honestly. I hate that shit. Well, what I
It
mean by
scares
that
you.
is
Why though?
it's like it's because then it starts leading to those other thought processes as in, you know how some people say you're only this religion because you came over here and your master was this religion. It's that whole thing. It's like, why are you doing this? Why what you were wired to be this way, and how do you know that's actually the right way for you to be? Because there's so many families that teach people this bullshit. Where if you really get to the grit of it, it's like you're only doing this because you were brought over to a brand new place. That's not what your origin is. So, uh, it
This
sends
is
you
how
through a
you grow,
whole
bro.
tangent.
This is how you grow, bro. This is why I stopped fucking with religion, basically. At least organized religion, because I mean there are bits and pieces of all these different religions that I think that you can apply to your life. But if there is some grand creator, I mean, he'll reveal himself or herself to me, or he won't.
I don't know. You know what? Thinking about that, of course, I don't. I'm I'm more on the agnostic side. I'm like, I don't know how to explain it. I guess I would say agnostic. I don't think there is a God, but I cannot rule it out that there is something out there, some type of entity uh,
Hmm.
that you may call a God. But like as far as the like organized religions go, I don't think any of them are necessarily true or steeped in reality. I think it's a lot of mysticism and shit like that going on. But like my thing is, if there's a God out there, like looking at the world and how unbalanced and unfair and how cruel some things are and how fucked up some things are, and also how good some things can be. To me, it appears that if there is a God, he don't give a fuck about nobody, or he ain't giving a fuck
Hmm.
about people.
Could
Uh,
God could be on the fucking playground that he created,
yeah, he
just
could
having
be.
fun.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
out there doing something else.
he up there fucking bitches and getting
Hmm.
money.
Might be Trump. I mean,
Just it's I don't know. I look at religion and I'm like, I think it does have some benefits. For one, establishing those group social connections, because
mhm.
there until recently or until I decided that or till until I came across some things that made me stop believing in the existence of some kind of God. Uh, that was always one thing that, for the most part, everybody agreed on, that there was a God. Uh, that there, I mean, and when I say everybody agreed on, I mean everybody. Like, let's say the vast majority of people in a city, or just the vast majority of people in our state. It's such a common thing. The majority of people seem to believe in God. So it was some connection we all had. Like, it was some kind of common thing. Although I will say, I had a different religion where it was like everybody's religion is different from mine, unless unless a motherfucker knock on my door, then I know, hey, you're the same religion. Uh, but
But
nah,
you
dude.
also live in the. We also grew up in the South,
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm
and
saying.
the South is more religious for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I'm saying, when I say everybody, I'm saying everybody in my area. A
Oh yeah.
a social connection that everybody in that region had. It was something we can all agree on. Like, yeah, yeah. Don't talk about specifics about them, because then you
Mhm.
get in a whole nother. Nah, motherfucker, he didn't say that. He said this word with two S's. You're
Well,
different from me. It was a bunch of minor differences, but for the
So
most
you
part,
just want to be anti now?
no, no, no.
like
No.
I'm pretty sure you guys always hear me when I bring up the whole, like my whole approach with it, the whole glass full, glass empty kind of concept, whatever that the half glass full, half glass empty concept that I basically took with the approach, right?
Mhm.
Well, I'll just tell you again, and to redefine it, honestly, it sounds like it's the survival instinct or the survival approach. Um, like being a creator, what I've discovered is just from creating so many different worlds and different stories, I basically looked at it as I'm that god of that fucking place that I created, and I'm outside those rules that I've made. And so it basically went to a thought process of like, okay, that means that there could possibly not be a God, and then there could also be a God. And if he is, then he could just basically just live outside of his rules that he made. So you can't rule him out exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hmm.
then I started playing around with the ideal of it could just be he's doing all this bullshit just to say, hey, here's a little test. Bet you can't have some faith, little bitch. And then I just started ruling it out as okay, in my survival, it doesn't better me, it doesn't hurt me if I decide that there is a God. And it's like it's kind of the same thing of saying there is or there isn't. So for me, it kind of turned into this thing where it's like, okay, I'll go ahead and decide that there is. So that way, in a way, it's like it's a betterment for your survival
I don't. Well,
or your extended survival.
oh, you're saying if it happens to be true.
Yeah.
But man, if religion was true, if the Christianity thing was true, I don't think most people understand that they would be going to hell. Like, what is the difference between the average Christian and like the average agnostic person who don't believe? What you They go to church on Sundays. They watch the same violent movies we do. They play the same violent video games. They listen to the same fucking twerking ass music in the club. Like
They
there
eat
is no
shellfish.
they eat shellfish,
They
they eat
lie.
pig, they lie, they
They
have
watch
premarital
porn.
sex. What the fuck? What's the thing that's keeping them from going to hell? Just
Hmm.
because they believe? Because of I haven't read off like the whole fucking Bible, but I've looked at enough of it to go, nah, he asking for probably a lot more than that. Like, and who's the person who gets to decide what's outdated? Because you're supposed to be sacrificing like your church till, I believe that 10% is not supposed to be just 10% of your income. It's supposed to be like 10% of your crops. You ain't got no crops, motherfucker. You're going to hell.
No, come on, that's not
And
math.
that's
You can't
and
10%
that's
zero.
and that's when you find out that it's just fucking money.
Yeah, it's just like that's when you find out it's just fucking
It's just
money.
fucking money,
Exactly,
bro.
it's just fucking money.
It's just money and power, bro.
Yeah, it's money and power. It's
And if
it
you don't
turns.
support us, the big guy is gonna have a word with you at the end of
Yeah. If
it.
if you don't support us, you're gonna burn on fire forever and get
Yeah.
tortured at the same time.
And we're
Like,
gonna laugh at you.
yeah. And I just want to say, Jesus loves you.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Like
Nigga, come again?
so much hate comes out of these people's mouths, you know.
Exactly.
It's like, why would I believe you?
Yeah, and I mean, even if every Christian person in church was the nicest person ever, and they still did the same shit, they still watched the same shit we do,
Yeah.
it would still be like you're still going to hell because
Hmm.
that's your religious text does not say like just be nice and we'll be cool, my nigga. It's got some
Yeah.
fucking stringent requirements. And
Yeah, I
who's the
started
person who gets to decide what gets thrown out? Like it's 2020, guys. We're just gonna throw this part of the Bible out and not abide by it anymore.
right. And I
Yeah,
started
like
I started recognizing that shit at an early age.
me
Like I
too.
took this shit seriously enough to be like crying in the middle of the night instead of sleeping shit. Cause my
Mm-hmm.
mom shacked up with some guy and they're not married, you know. My
Yeah,
mom's going to hell. Like I really believe this shit.
yeah.
And I just started noticing like everybody is just half-assing it. Like
Mm-hmm.
your ass is not on the line, dog.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right? And then at some point you just say, no, but that's the Old Testament. It's like that's the same God that wrote the new one.
I
That's his
know.
word. You can't just say no.
I know, right? Like even like the writing the New Testament and writing the different versions of the Bible, I was like, wait a sec. If that's God's word, didn't and you changing this word, like, did y'all have a meeting? Y'all meet up at headquarters and you said that was
Right?
cool? Like
Didn't di-
what?
didn't they say the person who adds to this shit would get like cursed or some shit?
Yeah,
What happened? How did this get mass released?
exactly. Oh man, it's crazy, dude. But I think at the end of the day, uh, at the end of the day, the only reason religion still exists and is still prevalent is because it gives people some kind of, well, not every religion, but I would say the big three: Christianity, Hinduism, and the Muslim faith. I think the reason those big three exist is because they give you an afterlife. They say that, oh yeah, when
Mm.
you die, it's not over. You get to go to an even better place if you follow these rules.
You know the crazy part about it?
Wow.
Christianity and Islam, they all worship the same God.
Oh yeah, and Judaism. It's
Oh
all
yeah, and all
the
the
top three. It's the same
Judeo
God.
Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're just fucking warring with each other. I'm learning this all late and shit, but I was very astounded like how much people hate those people.
Yeah, and it's the same. It's the same religion. All three of those are the same religion with twists. There's just like they even have some of the same characters, same people, and
Yep.
it's three different interpretations of of one religion, and they separate it. It's they we call it three different religions. It's one fucking religion. Uh, but ain't that crazy how separated it has people? This thing that's supposed to be good for people, but
But they want to
it
kill each other about the whole differences in customs. It's
motherfucker.
so stupid.
I mean,
Also,
they already have a history of killing motherfuckers like that just to
yeah,
spread it.
yeah, and even in Christianity itself, like
Well,
Crusades.
the
yeah, bro,
Protestants
well
and the
known.
Orthodox, the Protestants and I think it's the Protestants and the Orthodox, Southern Baptists, that all that shit. That's like, I mean, well, excluding the Southern Baptists because I think that's a more of a newer thing. But like the Protestants and the Catholics and the what's the I think it was just mainly Protestants and Catholics fucking hated each other. Like, ain't that the most ironic shit? And that's both of Catholicism is under Christianity. So it's like, what the fuck is going on here?
This would be a good conversation to have Kane because she knows all about that
Mm,
shit. But she's saying that the history of this country is that the Protestants were over in England and they were all weird and shit. And
mm-hmm.
so they just basically say, okay, y'all take y'all weird ass over there. And they were happy to, go and have their own little thing. And then this just became this bastard country of the mother religion, basically.
Yeah.
Bruh, I was just doing some research, and the worst part of it is kind of well, I'm just doing the face Google shit, but it's like basically they were saying how Southern Baptists basically got formed in Georgia in 1845, and it basically was a product of like basically slavery, and it's just like you go, motherfucker, it's just like you,
Yeah,
ah,
they used to use a Bible to justify slavery because it
Yeah,
talks about
bro.
slaves in the Bible, and they're not supposed to escape in the Bible. As I recall, from what I remember, they're not supposed to. Like, if there's a slave in the Bible, he was supposed to just be a slave and deal with his hand, rather than be like, "Hey, I'm fucking out of here. I'm outie, baby." This just, I don't know, dude. Religion is a weird thing. It does have some positives, though. Like I said, but I think the
one
positives
person. Oh yeah.
that it gave us are we don't we don't really need it anymore. I don't think because this is probably going to be a weird line to draw or a weird thing to observe to say that we don't need religion anymore. But look at this left versus right thing. Nobody's and of course I hate to say nobody because you can always find one motherfucker. But the vast majority of this shit, of this political issue, is people wanting to find a better way forward. Nobody's on a platform of like, hey y'all, let's kill all the blacks. Nobody's on a platform of like, hey y'all, let's kill all the Latinos. It's all it's the dumbest thing, but it's like everybody's arguing about how to be good. And I think that's a good sign because in the past it wasn't
Yeah,
it
you're
wasn't
right.
always an issue of like, hey, what's the best way to be good? It
You
might be
should be
somebody
careful with
saying,
that.
What you mean?
I think that I think we can't ignore um I don't know, that weird mix of genealogy and psychology, but I do think that there is a lot of there's a lot of um I guess I want to say xenophobic mindset in the
Define
generally more.
xenophobic.
Well, I will say that people who are other, like there's a disregard for those people, and even to the extent of uh, looking at them as less than, less than basically, and that is very dangerous. And you can, if you if you pay attention, you can find glimpses of it all over the place. Like the thing, I'll mention that thing later, but there is a lot of racism in
Hmm.
the Republican Party for sure,
Yeah.
and it's just hidden. But on top of that, you also have people who come out and they're open about calling the people of this country cattle and
Mm.
saying that certain people would be happily willing to die for the economy. And it's absolutely crazy that these people say that and they're not like strung up or some shit because these are the people in charge
Are you
and
talking?
you huh.
Oh, I was about to say, are you talking about that old like Republican dude who was like that 70-year-old dude who was like, we're willing to die to like keep the economy going? That dude?
Yeah, him for sure. Like when he said that, and it's like
Talking
he's
about the guy
saying
from
that.
Texas.
Yeah, and he's able to say that because he's one of those motherfuckers who has money and is not going to be affected
Yeah, he's
like
not gonna
that.
die from it. Yeah,
Yeah, but he's saying we because he means you, but he doesn't want to say you.
Mm-hmm.
He wants
I
you to
get you.
inspire to be inspired to get on his side and to lay your life down, so some other motherfuckers like him can make more money.
I get you. I mean, well, what I'm not saying that specifically, or I'm not talking about that specifically. I'm talking about the overall the people, not necessarily the. Let's look at like Antifa, right? With their that being fascist. I shouldn't say that because I don't really know have a full understanding of the history of fascism. But the fact that these motherfuckers are going like, this guy's a Nazi. Look, we gotta beat him up. This guy is this evil thing. This motherfucker is racist. Of course, they're doing it the wrong fucking way. Like the way they're doing it is obviously negative, and the shit that they're the way that they're carrying out their fight is fucking wrong. But like, ain't it crazy that it's white people out there going like, hey, like, or white kids going out there in large numbers, or I should say in relatively small numbers, but still a sizable amount, that are going, hey, if you're a racist, just fuck you. If you're a Nazi, if you're, even though they're incredibly fucking misled, like look at the things that people are fighting against, what they think they're fighting
Hmm.
against, and I look at what people are think they're fighting against. Some of it is crazy, like how people are like, man, it's the liberals making this coronavirus thing to fucking crash the economy. Like shit like that, that's kind of crazy to me.
All right, I'm back,
But
y'all.
on a larger scale,
Cool.
hey, what's up?
Sorry, I had to
On
throw
a
up. It's cool.
on a larger scale, it just seems like on a larger scale, when I look at what's going on in history now or what's going on in our politics now, as crazy as it is,
Not enough has
it's
happened.
not like somebody's going, hey, let's keep people in slavery, and the other side is going, hey, let's not have slaves. It's not one side going, hey, women shouldn't be able to vote, and one side going, maybe they should.
No,
It's
that's
it's an
not
extreme of things that are, it's two things that are I gotta watch how I phrase this. Well, I want to say I don't want to say it's two things that are good fighting against each other, but it's two groups that are trying to do that have a positive goal. And I'm
Mm.
not talking about politicians. I'm talking about the everyday people that are behind these politicians. And as misled as some of them may be, like when I look at what the fight is, I'm like, holy shit, this is a weird fight. Nobody's fighting for anything evil. That's not a platform anymore. You could have a platform 200 years ago of like, hey, we need to put these motherfuckers in chains. We need to make sure that this group of people doesn't have rights. That's not a
I feel
platform
that.
anymore.
I
That
feel that.
platform is gone. The
Oh,
platform
that's
of,
what you mean. No,
you get what I'm saying?
I just mean the like because it's a spectrum and they're
Mm-hmm.
not exactly, put them in chains and all that, but they're still in the same spectrum.
Yeah,
Because I mean,
I
does
get what you're saying.
think about what happened to uh the kids from Mexico, and I'm sure those kids are probably still in cages and shit over there. But
Oh, you're talking
and
about
that's
the, yeah.
like that's in the same spectrum, and they didn't exactly, encourage it or call for it or something like that, but they also support it in a weird way. And
Also, oh,
the same, and they
mm-hmm,
tap in, like those rich guys definitely tap into that energy sometimes
mm-hmm.
when they direct, like, because you saying that they spread this thing out initially when it was, when the whole slavery thing came about, and then they would convince them, no, you're actually better than them, and blah blah blah. I think it's the same energy with those people, and it gets tapped into with different things that get us fighting, basically,
Yeah.
because some rich motherfuckers want the economy to go back and for people to um keep things going and have nothing change where they don't have to put their lives on the line and still make money. And in order to do that, they've manipulated people in they've manipulated people in different ways to, fuel their own agenda.
I get you.
And it's the same energy that they tap into all the time. So it's not a I don't look at it as a sense of good versus evil, because I think each side are is full of people who are the same kind of people, and they just argue about different stuff. Some people want to go back to something, some people want to go forward to something, and
Mm-hmm.
that's all it is. But the energy that people tap into, it's a different kind of spectrum that should be taken note of, I think.
A wise
Well,
man once said that you need progressives to progress the shit when it's time to progress, and you need conservatives basically when you need to stick to what you know. And it's just based.
and that wise man was Hitler. No.
Right.
Yes, he was, because Hitler was an artist, and artists have a way.
If they
But I
would have
think
just let
that's
that motherfucker paint pictures, man.
I think that's too simple though, because
Which,
I mean that's not wrong, but it's also it's not
It's
right.
too vague.
oh yeah, I would definitely say that quote you just said
Yeah,
is
because when I say they're the same people, I mean there are a lot of people on the left who want the same control to say this is what you need to do, and make rules about what people can and can't do. But I've seen a lot of conservatives do the same shit when it comes to shit that they don't like, and these are the same motherfuckers for small government and shit like that, supposedly. And it's like small government doesn't go out of its way to say you motherfuckers can't do this shit here.
yeah.
So it's the same kind of people, and they're all just, you know, they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Oh, I think some of these motherfuckers are way more competent than we realize.
Well, I
And
mean,
in
when it
fact,
comes to people saying this is the way we need to go, and you can't do this anymore, they don't
hmm,
they don't really know. They just think they know. I think there are people who are confident who's saying, we should do this, and then they actually go make it happen,
yeah.
either directly or indirectly. But that doesn't necessarily make them right either.
And also, I think our government system. Have you? Well, no. I know I'm the only person who's like did work for the government. I'm assuming in this group, like
Mm-hmm.
even
I
though
mean, I kind of
it
work for
was
the
on a,
government.
it was, but not for the government. Like when I've worked for the government on a local level, I'm like, damn, like there's there's a lot of moving parts to this shit, and there's a lot of bureaucracy, man. Like, and
Yeah.
I know, like, on a local level, I was at the local level where it's probably some of the smallest amount of bureaucracy. And I'm like, on a federal level, I'm like, how the fuck does this shit work? Because it's kind of fucking crazy that anything gets done. Because there's so much bullshit and little rules and little loopholes and just there's so much weird shit going on in our
Mm-hmm.
government. For one, I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to mention this. If not, the people should know anyway. Like there's a time when a government facility was being moved from one building to another, and because somebody made a mistake or somebody operated stupidly and didn't plan shit out well enough, uh, there were millions of dollars that were just given to basically a property owner for that new building, and nobody. It was like, let's just say, $3 million get given to the owner of this other property that they're moving to, and it's for nothing. That's $3 million that just went to waste. Three
Wow.
million dollars of taxpayer money that went down the fucking drain for what? Like when I say literally nothing, like it literally went there for no reason. It was probably more than $3 million. But the fact that millions of dollars get pissed away like that, I'm like, okay, on some levels, our government is really competent, or I should say they seem to be really competent at some things. Like, but like on some shit, like seeing that, and that's not the only thing I saw. I'll tell you, there's some other shit that's like, what the fuck, this happened? Like shit that don't even make the news. There's so much shit that don't make the news that should make the news. Like,
Yeah.
there's
That's why I
so
stopped
much
watching
shit,
the
man.
news.
Yeah,
Mm.
I don't watch it. I really don't pay that much attention to it either. It'll pop up on my Google app on my phone, and that's mainly the only thing that like shows up with news. And I've blocked like the major pop publications like CNN and Fox and CBS and all them other things. So I don't get like the politicized bullshit. I don't get that no more. And every time I see it pop up, I block whoever sent that article. So I know, okay, that's a news organization that's gonna feed me bullshit and waste my time.
Oh, you let Google do it?
I mean, it just yeah, it recommends certain shit that I'm interested in. So it's not giving me like news for every little single thing. It's giving me news for shit that I've clicked on or like for keywords. Like let's say I think one of my keywords might be Cyberpunk 2077. You know that video game. So it'll give me information about Cyberpunk 2077, right? And then I'll be like, okay, cool. I know what's going on with that shit. Or like, let's say the stimulus checks. I want to know what's going on with the stimulus checks. It'll send me articles for
Mm.
that. But it's not anything where it's like it can skew my opinion, you know? Because
Mm.
it's just shit that I'm already interested in. And when it does send me those articles, all I really do now is I look for the bit of information because like I don't know, dude. The news nowadays is bullshit.
Yeah.
It's
You know
it's
what?
it's bullshit.
You know what? This is bullshit. Stuff you find out in the pastures on the ground.
Nah, bro, that's cow
cow
shit, man.
cow pies. Um,
They're not the
man,
same.
you guys are really ripping into the news, huh?
Yeah, fuck the
So,
news.
so you
Yeah,
guys are
I
not.
was pissed off earlier. I was
Uh,
trying to find out. Apparently they're rioting up there in Minneapolis. So I wanted to
hmm
turn on the news to find out more about that shit. These niggas got to talk about Trump the whole time,
goddamn.
Right.
Wait,
or
what
give
So,
happened?
their or
What
give
happened
their
in?
opinion about the situation, but don't actually show any footage about the rioting and all that stuff. It's like, why are you even here?
Yeah,
Just to fucking argue with each other.
that's another thing. That's one thing that really made me skeptical of the media is when they it's like one thing that America always seems to be in at some point is some kind of war, some kind of conflict. And I always wondered like why don't we ever see what's happening in the war? Like you'll hear about bombs being dropped, all this shit's going on, but like
Mm.
you never see you never see like a firefight, you never see what the
Hmm.
soldiers are going through, you never see it. And it's like it's almost like it's in some alternate reality. Like,
Yeah,
they get shipped out and they go to an alternate reality where shit that you can't even imagine happens. But you never see it. And
it's not
it's
good for business to see it. It's good for
it's
business to do it.
I mean, I don't know about all that. I just that always struck me as weird. And like because it's
That's why they don't show it.
no,
It's
it's
just like the thing with meat and stuff and how they sell it. They sell all those parts and they sell the different kinds of animals and stuff, but they change the name of it because people feel weird if they know what it is.
I mean, I get you,
I
but
was just
I
talking
would
about
say this
that.
is different. Uh this to me this definitely seems different, but it's just weird because it's like there's literally people out there like let's say even with police officers who are like it's just so much shit going on in the country or dealing with America where it's like, okay, like there's a war being fought. What's happening in this war? Like, why aren't we shown a like video of the fighting? What's happening? And I'm like, is it because it's grisly? And it's always the excuse that or it's always a reason for not being shown something is because it is grisly. Like, what the fuck are you saying? You saying I can't if I see something bad on the screen, I'm a fucking my mind's gonna break or something? Like, it's just
Yeah,
always
you're gonna
struck
want to
me as
stop the war.
I don't
Mm.
know. I don't know.
People don't like endless war.
Honestly, I don't like there's some things in this world where I'll put it like this. Uh you've been everybody in this Discord has been in a fight before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A fist fight. Uh did when you got into a fist fight, did you when you got into does everybody have a fist fight that they got into that they weren't expecting that day or that it kind of just happened and they weren't really expecting it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like all of them.
Yeah, okay. I don't know, cause I don't know if y'all
Nah,
have some
not
fight where it's
me.
like, hey, meet my ass at 3:15 on a school play yard. I'm gonna whoop that ass, and and I don't know what kind of fights y'all have been into, but
We
I
can
can
talk
tell
about
you
it.
from my experience, that is fighting is one of those things where you can think about it one way before you get in it, and you think it's going to happen one way, and you think that shit's going to go a certain way, or that your interactions are going to, you could have a preconceived notion of what that is, and then you get into it, and being physically in it is so much more different than what you thought it was. Even from like watching a video of, oh, that's what a fight is like. Okay, that's easy. Or like, even if it's like, that's what a fight is like. Oh, that looks scary. When you're in that thing, it's so much more different from what the idea you have in your head. So with war, it's hard for me to because I've had those experiences where it's like you get into a fight and it's like, damn, this is kind of different. This is like either vastly different or wildly different or whatever from what I had going on in my brain or the idea that was stored in my brain. And like because obviously I'm a civilian, I've never fought in a war, and I know none of us in here right now have ever fought in a war. It's like the way I hear veterans, people who fought in wars talk about it, it sounds like it's one of those things where I can't really speculate on it unless I've been in it because there's all these theories and all this shit about man being in a violent situation is like this, your brain's doing this, blah 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 blah. But sometimes you don't really understand some shit until you're in it. So I can't say that if I saw more footage of what was going on in the war, it would make me want to stop it. I don't know what it would make me
But
think.
that's you. You're judging
I'm
that. You're judging that based on you. I'm judging it
I'm
based on people.
well, that's the thing though. How many people have gotten to some shit where you think it's one way, and then you experience that thing physically, and it's not what you thought it was. That's
Yeah,
what
but
I'm saying. The idea that
we're talking about people dying on either side, whether it's our people or some other people. To watch that shit on TV will make you say, "I don't want this to happen." At
well,
some
see,
point, I think.
Yeah,
but
and
that
that'll
well,
kill
let
the
me let me
whole.
give you an example. The Marines at Tarawa, Tarawa. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but there was a battle. Let me actually look up the name. I think it was called with the Marines at Tarawa. Yeah, but like in this, that was a let's just say a video that they showed during World War II, and they showed it in the theaters, I believe, and that was it was authentic footage of a battle in a war in World War II, and there's a lot of dead American soldiers in that video, a lot of Americans getting killed, but that didn't make them want to stop the war. That made them want to hop in the shit more. So when I'm saying
Yeah,
like
but these are
that's
different wars. These are not. These are not a.
what's
This
the
is not
difference?
like
What's the difference though?
it's
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 still it's still people dying. It's
it's
I mean
not it's
different
not on people's
technology, but
minds.
wait,
Like
what's
if like during the time when uh the last world war, like we got attacked and Hitler declared war on us, and then people were like, yeah, fuck those people, let's
hmm
go to war and go fuck them up. But you haven't you don't hear much about the Iraq and Iran and all those places, the war and all that stuff all the time, because people are sick of it. People have been sick of it for a while.
I need to hop in with an opinion from just like knowledge that I've just thinking about some of the things that have basically transpired throughout the years. What
Then
was it?
say it instead of what are you doing? Say it.
No, no, no. I'm saying I'm no. In that case, I'll say it mainly because you guys are going back and forth talking. So I got to kind of like make my announcement that I'm fucking
You
talking
still not
anyway.
saying it.
Yeah, and that shut the fuck up and let me say it. Anyway, point being, just like the when people were going into Vietnam, just and how we were about like getting out of there. I don't know if it was Vietnam or Korea when we were trying to basically just like, hey, get our troops out of there and get them to come home because we were seeing footage and shit, and we were like, we're not supposed to
Vietnam.
be over there. It was
That's
Vietnam,
yeah. That was the media showing those pictures and videos of the war is one of the main reasons that we the war ended.
and I think that tied with just people, it's always going to be coming back to like what's the public opinion. And I feel like one way to hush that shit up and not have them interested so that people won't have a way to sway them out of it would be to not show as much footage of it.
Yeah.
You talk about it, but you don't necessarily just put it in their face, because if the people want you out of there, then you won't have a war. And what if war is bringing you a bunch of money? And that's just, I don't know, that's just kind of like how my thoughts is like thinking about it. It's like, what if that's the case? They're not
Yeah.
showing it so that
See,
way it can keep the people's opinion out of it. That way we can keep the thing that gets a bunch of money going in the background.
and that's why I say, and you're saying basically out of sight, out of mind, and that is yeah, that's definitely a way to do that. But like also like like SWAT teams, when a SWAT team goes in and does their work in an area that you're in, the news is not showing you that footage right then and there because the perpetrator, the person committing the crime, is gonna look and say, "Hey, all right, it's three motherfuckers outside my door right here. One motherfucker outside the window. I could shoot him through the wall if I put the gun right here." It's all this so much more complicated, man. And it's like I can't look at any war and be like, uh, "Yeah, this one is wrong right here. This one is." I mean, like it's just such a complicated thing, and there's so much shit going on behind closed doors that the people don't know about. It's like I want to say that XYZ is wrong or that we shouldn't be doing this, but I know there's so much shit that I don't know, and that I don't want to disrespect the sacrifices of the people who are out there dying, because obviously we're not in a war. Like, I've heard so many people from like Afghanistan or Iraq say, "Oh, don't no civilian at home know what the fuck is going on out here. Only the people who are out here know what's going on." So it's like
Yeah.
I can't.
And
I want to say like that. The footage. What I was saying is the footage made me suspicious of what the fuck is going on. Why aren't you showing us what's going on? But at the same time, it's such a complicated situation that I don't know what the fuck to think. Like, like I hear some people go, like some veterans go, man. I'm proud of my service. I'm happy about, or not necessarily I'm happy, but like I did what I felt was what needed. I did what needed to be done, or you know, and then there's some people who like fucking hated it, and I'm like, which what's right here? What's I don't get it, man.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You get what
I,
I'm saying? It's
because me and Kay have this conversation quite a bit, and I look at it as um, a business slash power thing.
hmm
Uh, at the end of the day, it's a lot of it's about money and control. Whether it's our government, I mean, our country controlling resources and stuff like that,
yeah.
and funneling money to the military industrial complex in order to achieve it. I'm
See?
kind of up in the air
hmm
about where exactly my feelings on that fall, because there are a lot of pros and cons when it comes to even us, and just like you say, there are a lot of stuff that we don't know, but at the same time, it is what it is. And the difference is that some of those decisions to go in this country and do this thing and make this action against whoever may be based on, money or some capitalist agenda or something like that, 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 something like that.